on transmission media, right? So when we come across the transmission media, so already I had discussed with you what are the different types of transmission medias, and we discussed about guided transmission media. Now today we'll start up with unguided transmission media. Then we move for the last topic, that is switching. So today we'll close our first unit. Right. Is it visible to all? So last class we had a discussion on this topic, that is transmission media. So we know what is a transmission media, that is a pathway which carry information from sender to receiver. Now after the physical layer, the data moves in the medium, that is in the form of, or it is just like a road or a path from where it carries information to the receiver. Now for this, we may use cables or waves to transmit the data. Now data generally transmits in the cable or in the medium in the form of signals, that is electromagnetic signals. Now the transmission media, whatever it is present below the physical layer, now the computers use signals to represent the data. The signals are transmitted in the transmission medium. Just observe the diagram here. The data coming from sender enters into transmission media, and these are the signals. The data, whatever that it is sending from sender, it is transmitted in the transmission medium in the form of signals. So this transmission medium may be a cable or it may be a air. When it is cable, when it is a guided transmission media. Suppose if it is unguided transmission media, this will be the air. So you know very well, guided transmission media means there will be a dedicated path from sender to receiver in the form of cables. Suppose in unguided transmission media means there will be no path from sender to receiver in the form of cable. Just in the air, it transmits the signals from sender and the receiver will receive the signal from the air. So that's why the transmission medium in guided transmission media is a cable, but whereas in unguided transmission media, it is a air. Now after that, the transmission media are classified into two types: guided transmission media, unguided transmission media. Under guided, we have discussed about twisted pair, coaxial cable, fiber optics, right? And under unguided, we had some space. Right? Now, in the last class, we have a discussion on these three different types of cables: twisted pair, coaxial cable, and fiber optics. Just we go through the overview for 5 minutes. Now, here twisted pairs. So, it is consists of basically a copper which is covered with a plastic insulator, and it has a pair of copper wires which are twisted together. Now, for what purpose we are going to twist it? See the example, that means this is the copper wire which is just like the wires whatever we are using in our home for connection of tube lights or a fan, anything. So in the house we will use this type of twisted pairs. So why it is twisted means, if it is twisted, what will happen means the signal whatever it remains when it is transmitting may not have a large amount of loss. It remains same. So for that purpose, the number of twistings per unit length is going to be more, which is going to make the quality of a cable. Okay, that means if the twistings are more, we say that the cable is good. If the twistings are less, we say that the cables, we say that the cable is quality cable. Now, like that, that means the quality of a cable is estimated based on the risks. Now, here advantages. It is very cheap and easy to work with. But what are the drawbacks? Low data rate and short range. That means the twisted pairs are having some low data rate and the range is short. Only up to one building you can use it. Beyond that, we can't use it. For one room means you can give the connection. Suppose if it is for one building to another building, it is not possible to have. That means the range is very short. Now, applications. The very common media we can use in telephone network. Not only that, the connections within the buildings and for local area networks. So, for these, we can use this twisting pairs. Now, the twisted pair cables are of two types: UTPs and STPs. That is, unshielded twisted pair and shielded twisted pair. So, already I had discussed with you what is unshielded. That means there will be no plastic sheet on the um, wire. So that is just example is DSL lines, the main cables, whatever we have, the main lines of power electricity, which is the best example for our unshielded twisted pair. But these UTPs are categorized into some 8 categories like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5E, 6, 7. So these are IEEE standards. Then moving for the next one after UTP, we have STP now, shielded twisted pair. Pairs of wires wound around each other placed inside a protective foil wrap. See here, for all these cables, we have a protective wrap here. That is, a plastic cover is going to, plastic sheet will be provided so that there is no chance of having some sort of short circuit. Now, this is the best example for STP applications. So, not only that, STP, the advantages of STP and disadvantages of STP. So, here advantages are it is a shielded one, faster than UTP, and disadvantages are more expensive and high attenuation rate. So these type of cables which you'll observe in your laboratories also, right? So this is a shielded twisted pair. After to that we had a coaxial cable in which we also call it as coax, right? So this coaxial cable, it is also containing some sort of copper conductor which is covered with braided sheeted and covered with outer jacket. So see, this is the inner conductor, insulator, outer conductor, that is a braided sheet and plastic cover. So this is a coaxial cable. These are of three types: RG59, RG58 and RG11. Its coaxial cable applications are television distribution, long distance telephone transmissions. It can carry 10,000 voice calls simultaneously, short distance computer system links, and local area network. See this is a type of a coaxial cable. Generally, you'll observe this in the televisions also. You will be getting this type of things, right? This cable we are calling it as what? It is a coaxial cable. Now, the coaxial cable advantages are it is easy to wire up, easy to expand. But disadvantages are single cable failure can take down an entire network. That means if any problem arises at a single cable, the entire network comes down. The cost of installation is very high because of its thickness and stiffness. The cost of maintenance is also high of this coaxial cable. Then after this we had fiber optic cables. Already I have told you what is the meaning of optic. Here in the previous two types of cables we are using with copper wire. But here we are used with a optic, that is a glass made material. This glass made material will be just like to the thickness of a human hair. So why we are using here glass made material means here we are not sending electricity or any electromagnetic waves. Just we are sending light. That means the data transmission is going on in the form of light. So that's why we are using it optical cable. Now, nature of light. Light travels in a straight line. If light goes from one substance to another, then the ray of light changes its direction. That means these are some of the properties of light. Now, this is also angle of incidence and critical angle. Then optical fibers, how it is transmitted. When sender sends data in the form of light, it hits to the boundaries and it is reflected and again find reach to the receiver. So that means it is called as core, which is made of glass covered with cladding and the entire thing is covered with a jacket. So that the cable structure will be like this. This is a glass or plastic made cladding, right? Plastic buffer and outer jacket. This is called as fiber optics. Now, in which areas we are using this? In telecommunication, in LANs, in cable TV, in CCTV footages, and in medical education, we are using this fiber optics. See, the light is passing here to this cable. So these are the different areas where we will use with optical fibers. Now these optical fibers are greater capacity. That means they have a data rate transmission at 100 Gbps. That means most of the data transmission can be done with most speed. Next, smaller size and lightweight, lower attenuation, electromagnetic isolation, more resistance to corrosive materials, greater repeater spacing facility. So that means these fiber optics are having more advantages when compared with the twisted phase and coaxial cables. But what are the drawbacks? What are the drawbacks? That is, installation and maintenance need expertization. That means it is not possible to install and maintain by us. That means it needs some expertization. They must know the concept of this fiber optics. Next, unidirectional light propagation and much more expensive. When compared with the previous two types of cables, it is more expensive. So these are the disadvantages of our optical fibers. And moving for the next one, which is called as unguided media. That is our second type of transmission medium. Just remember, so whatever the topic we have discussed so far, that comes under the guided transmission media. Under guided transmission media, we have three types. What is the first one? Twisted pair. Second one, coaxial cable. And third one is fiber optics. In here, we have a discussion on guided transmission media. Now, what about this unguided transmission media? So that means in unguided transmission media, we don't have any type of cables. Just the data packets are going to be sent through the air. They are injected into the network. They are allowed to move independently. We don't have a path like a cable or any other facility from sender to receiver. So that's why we are calling it as unguided transmission media. Now coming here, the signals whatever you are going to get, that is electromagnetic spectrum we use for wireless communications. When you see here electromagnetic spectrum, some ranges are shown here. That is radio waves and microwaves will be from, that is 300 gigahertz to 3 kilohertz. Similarly, from 300 gigahertz to 400 terahertz infrared waves. Further, we have some other types of waves. That means based on the electromagnetic range, we are allowed to have certain type of waves. Now here, this unguided signals travels from source to destination in several ways. Why? Because we don't have any cable here, we don't have any path here. So that's why they can travel in several ways. Those several ways, how they travel, we are calling them as what? Propagation. So what is propagation here? The unguided signals travel from source to destination in several ways. Those are called as propagations. Some of the propagations are ground propagations and sky propagation. The next one is line of sight propagation. So these are the three types of propagations what we are discussing for today's topic. Now ground propagation means what? Radio waves travel through the lowest portion of the atmosphere. See here, which will travels on the earth. We are calling it as a ground propagation. Sky propagation means what? Which will travel on very high. That means ionosphere we call it as, and they are reflected back to the earth. See here, we have some sort of towers or antennas, and the signals are transmitted on the ionosphere, okay, and again reflected back, again moved, reflected back, and reach to the receiver's antenna. That is called as sky propagation. But line of sight propagation means it in straight lines directly from antenna to antenna. Here we don't take help of any sky, just one antenna to what we call towers, right? So based on the towers, the signal are transmitted from one tower to another tower. That is, of course, these two concepts are these all are working based on or with the help of our satellites which are present on the space. Okay, so like this, the propagations are of ground propagation, sky propagation, and line of sight propagation. Now, after to that, we had the next topic that is unguided media. So, of course, this unguided media otherwise called as wireless transmission. This wireless transmission we can go through in three ways: radio waves, microwaves, and infrared waves. Now we will see what are all these three different types of waves and how they will work. That is our today's topic, which is called as unguided transmission media or wireless transmission waves. So this wireless transmission takes place in three ways now, with the help of radio waves, with the help of microwaves, and with the help of infrared waves. So now we'll see about each and every. Now see here, that is unguided media with the help of radio waves. Here we have some omnidirectional antenna. That means in all directions it can send its signal. That's why we are calling it as omnidirectional antenna. And the frequency will be from 3 kilohertz to 1 gigahertz. And it is used for multicast communication such as radio and television and tagging system. You know very well what is the meaning of multicast. Multicast means transmitting data to many number of users at a time. It is the best example for that television. That is, the program whatever we'll see in our home, the same program will be watched in another house also at same time. That means that television signals whatever we are getting, that is called as multicasting. Why? Because for multiple number of users, it is able to send the data at same time. And in the radio also same concept. Now the radio waves can penetrate buildings easily, so that widely used for indoors and outdoor communication. So why we are using this radio waves only for this television and radios? Because if you have to get a television signal, it has to penetrate through the uh, building, right? That means it must penetrate through the walls also. So that's why we are going to have these radio waves, and these radio waves have a capacity to penetrate buildings easily. That means indoor and outdoor communication is possible with these radio waves. Now what is this antennas? You know very well, every place we are getting this type of antennas. An antenna is a structure that is generally a metallic object, may be a wire or group of wires used to convert high frequency into electromagnetic waves. When you have this antenna on our homes, you know very well set-top boxes or each and every television is held with one type of antennas. The signals coming from high frequency are converted to electromagnetic waves. Now antennas are of two types: transmission antenna and reception antenna. Transmission antenna means it transmits radio frequency from transmitter. Radio frequency then convert to electromagnetic energy by antenna. then radiate into surrounding environment. So this transmission antenna, whatever it is, used for transmitting these radio signals to their customers. And reception antenna is nothing but electromagnetic energy getting to antenna. The high frequency range, whatever it is sending from transmission antenna, they have to be converted to electromagnetic waves from in the reception antenna. Then antenna converts radio frequency to electrical energy, then goes to the receiver. And some antennas have both capacity, that is transmission as well as reception. But now whatever the antennas we had on our houses, on our phones, that is completely the receivers or reception antenna. It's not any transmission antenna. It is the reception antenna. That is about first type of waves now. That is called as radio waves. Radio waves, we can use it for radio and television purpose. Why we are using radio waves means because radio waves can penetrate through buildings, so we can use it for both indoor and outdoor. That's why radio waves are used for televisions and radios. And these antennas are of how many types? Two types: transmitter antenna and reception antenna. Sometimes the antenna may have both transmission and reception capacity. Now coming for second type of waves, which is called as microwaves. Microwaves are ideal when large areas need to be covered and there are no obstacles in the path. Now, what is this microwaves? Okay. The microwaves are different. When large areas need to be covered, the range of these microwaves is more when compared with radio waves. But this is possible when no obstacles are present in the path. See here, suppose you had one antenna here and another antenna. Directly there is no obstacles in between, so you can get the signals very easily for any longer distances. But if any obstacle is there, at that time the signals are reflected. That is microwaves. Microwaves are unidirectional. Microwave electromagnetic waves have a frequency from 1 GHz to 300 GHz. Now there are two types of microwave data communication system. First one is terrestrial and second one satellite. Now microwaves what are widely used for one-to-one communication between sender and receiver. Example, the cell phones, okay, satellite networks and Wi-Fi, WiMAX, GPS, all these are working with the help of these microwaves. That is, it is unidirectional. Unidirectional is what? Only one-to-one communication. It is not multi. When you see the previous one, radio waves, it is going to support for multi. Okay, multi means what they multicasting means it can send data to multiple users at a time. But here the microwaves, it's not like that. They can have a transmission from one to one, that is between sender and receiver. So for Wi-Fi, for cell phones, right, and for satellite networks and some WiMAX and GPS, we can use this micro. Now, what is the third type is infrared waves. Now, what are these infrared waves? Especially, these are short-range communications. That is 300 GHz to 400 THz. The range is very, very short. That means, if, when you see the camera, sorry, not camera, remote, okay, when you see the TV remotes, so that TV remote is working under the infrared waves. The light whatever you are getting there, that is infrared. The range of that is only up to some distance. It cannot penetrate through the walls. When you see, when you are sitting in another room and you are operating your remote, TV remote, is it working to a television which is in another room? No, it's not working. Why? Because it is used with infrared waves, so the range is very, very short. Now here night vision camera, remote control, and file sharing between two folds. See, share it tab. That is also work under the control of this infrared. You can share your files with two folds which are very near. Suppose you are somewhere and another person is somewhere. Can you transfer the by using that type of apps? No, it's not possible because the range is very short. And communication between a PC and peripheral devices. So these are some different types of waves. So today we have a discussion on how many types of waves totally. Three types of waves coming under unguided transmission media. What is the first type of wave? Radio waves. Second one, microwaves. Third one, infrared waves. So these are the three types of transmission medias under unguided transmission media, where there is no dedicated path in the form of cable. Just it is transmitted in the air in the form of signals. So those are radio waves, okay, microwaves and infrared waves. So this is about our concept transmission media, both guided and unguided transmission medias. So with this, we'll close that topic. Okay. So till here, if you have any doubts, you please ask me. I'll give you some 5 minutes of time, and again I'll start my the next class after 5 minutes. If you have any doubt related to this transmission media, you can ask me. Any doubts? Somebody is asking about sky propagation. Can you all explain me? See here, propagation already we have discussed. That is, uh, they may travel in any form. There will be no dedicated path. So that's why the main three types of propagations are ground propagation, sky propagation, and line of sight propagation. And coming for this ground propagation unit. Now sky propagation. So what is happening here is, you know very well, our Earth, that is environment which is from to the Earth to the top space, we have been classified into some 4 ways. Okay, you may have heard about ionosphere. That is up to one particular range, we call it as ionosphere. Right? Like that. So when you see the radio waves, it has to be transmitted actually from one antenna to another antenna. This is sender's antenna, this is receiver's antenna. So in this sky propagation, it won't directly travel in from one tower or from one antenna to another antenna. It moves to certain distance up to ionosphere and reflects back, again reflects, again reflects, again reflects, then it reaches to the receiver's antenna. So that is called as sky propagation. These radio waves, whatever you are sending in the form of sky propagation, they won't directly move from one antenna to another antenna. They first move to ionosphere. Ionosphere means above to earth, that is below to sky, some distance, we call it as ionosphere. So up to that distance they will travel and again reflect back to the earth and again move to ionosphere, again reflect back, again moves, again receives to the receivers. That is called as sky propagation. But whereas in line of sight, directly it moves from one antenna to another antenna. Next. Okay. So somebody is asking some more doubts. Very good. So I'll explain you. Just wait for 2 minutes. I'll take the attendance. First time attendance. Wait. Okay, so we'll go for the next one. Just see here. So in this, somebody is asking the difference between ground propagation and line of sight propagation. So when you see the ground propagation, why we are calling it as ground propagation? Because the radio waves that are transmitting from one antenna to another antenna will travel at lower portions of the atmosphere. Okay, very less lowest portion of the atmosphere. But the line of sight, it is not moving at lowest portion of the atmosphere. Just it is moving from one antenna to another antenna at a maximum portion itself. It's not moving to the lowest portion. Just in a straight line it moves. Okay, that means in this line of sight propagation, it won't checks for the lowest portion of the atmosphere, nothing. Just it transmits from senders to receivers antenna in a straight line. But whereas in this ground propagation, it is always focusing to travel in lowest portion of the atmosphere. So that is the difference from ground propagation to the line of sight propagation. Still any more doubts? You can ask me. Then I'll go for next topic. Okay. Somebody is asking to explain about infrared. Okay. We'll go for that. So we have totally three types of waves, radio waves, that is microwave, and infrared waves. Infrared waves are very short range waves. That means it is possible to transmit some data or any commands only up to shorter ranges. Beyond that, it's not possible. The best examples are TV remotes, okay, and the file sharing between two phones, just like our share it apps, right, and the communication between a PC and peripheral devices. So that means some mouses are there, that is wireless mouse, okay, that is also up to some distance it can work, beyond that it's not working. So these are some different types of examples which we can use for our infrared waves. That means in these devices we are using with the waves which are called as infrared. That's why they can be used only up to some range. Beyond that range, you can't use that type of devices. The best example is your TV remote. When you have a TV remote in your hand, you are in one room, but your television is in another room. Can you operate your TV from your remote where you are in another room? No, it's not possible. So if you are before the TV, up to some distance, you can operate your TV with the help of remote. Similarly, AC remotes, whatever we have today, the remote, that everything is going to be work under this type of waves which are called as infrared waves. Why they are accessible only to short range? Because infrared range is very short. That's why we are using this type of wave. So we are calling it them as a infrared communication, which are very short range communications. Okay, next. Okay, shall I move for next topic? Now today we have a discussion on which one, transmission media, right? Now, the same thing we'll see that after transmission media, we had the next topic which is called as data, that is switching, circuit switching and packet switching. The concept is switching. We'll see what is that switching, and switching is nothing but here the networks we use to connect many devices. Networks are used to interconnect many devices, and we have checked with local area networks, right? Now wide area networks. Okay. Now this switching is going to be performed in two ways. The first one is called as circuit switching. The second one is called as packet switching. So what is circuit switching and what is packet switching? That we'll discuss now. So, switching is a concept of connecting one device with another device. In order to connect in the networks itself, the main concept is what? To connect the devices. So, switching is an essential component in order to connect one device with another device. So, when you are using this switching concept, this switching can be of two types. First one is called as circuit switching. Second one is called as packet switching. Now, just observe this. LAN means leave it because it is some only up to some distance. But what about wide area networks? Since the invention of telephone, circuit switching has been the dominant technology of voice communications. Now, since 1970, packet switching has evolved substantially for digital data communications. It was designed to provide a more efficient facility than circuit switching for bursty data traffic. Right. Now, we have two types of switching mechanism. The first one is called as circuit switching. The second one is called as packet switching. Circuit switching means, suppose you have an example of your telephone system which is from olden days onwards. Think about landline communication. So in that landline communication, definitely you have some circuit switching there because it has to, suppose when you dial a number, the other person will get a ring, he will lift the call, then you both can talk. That means it has some steps that is performed with the help of as virtual circuit. Now coming across the next one, switched communication networks. See here, switching is long distance transmission between stations is typical done over a network of switching nodes. Okay, suppose if it is shorter distance, you can do. Suppose if it is longer distance, it is somewhat difficult for us to provide this switching nodes. Switching nodes do not concern with content of data. It is not bothering about data, it is providing a facility that it will move data from node to node until they reach their destination. That is the main purpose of switching. The switching won't see that what data we are sending. Just it will see that to whom we are sending, from which place you have to send to which place. That is, it only focuses on from how to move from one node to another node until it reaches the destination. So a collection of nodes and connections forms a communication network. Now this type of number of nodes and connections, we collectively call it as what? Communication networks. Now in a switched communication network, data entering the network from a station are routed to the destination by being switched from one node to another node. Now here, suppose you want to send some data. Okay, so at that time, definitely you have to send data to the another person who is acting as the intermediate node. Then from there, the data is moved. See the simple switching network. Now, suppose this is personal computer A and this is B. This is a mainframe C, D, E, F. We have some set of computers here. Now, when you are sending data from some A to B, so at that time, directly you don't have a connection from A to B. So at that time, what we will do, we connect to the next neighboring node. From that, we connect to the next neighboring node. Then from there, it moves to the receiver, that is B. Similarly, if you want to send your data from A to D, right? You have to, there is no direct path from A to D. So at that time, you first move to the next node 4, then next node 5, next node 3. From there, you can connect to this D. So like that, switching mechanism is going to be explained here, that data entering the network from a station are routed to the destination by being switched from node to node. Now it is moving from one node to another node, and again from this node to this node, from this node to the receiver. So this mechanism is called as switching mechanisms. Okay. Now the switching nodes. Nodes may connect to other nodes or some stations. Now two different switching technologies. First one is called as circuit switching. Second one is called as packet switching. Okay, we have these two types of switching mechanisms: circuit switching, packet switching. Very important. Now circuit switching. In circuit switching, there will be a dedicated communication path from two stations. The path is connected. It is a sequence of links between the nodes. Once a physical link, a logical channel is dedicated to this connection. Now, communication via circuit switching has three phases. Just best example is our telephone call. First, we will establish the call, then data is transferred, then circuit is disconnected. See here, we have three steps here for in this circuit switching. In this circuit switching, definitely there must be a dedicated communication path between two stations. That means once sender is calling to the receiver through a phone, first he will dial the number, then the other person will get the ring. If he lifts, that is first step, which is called as circuit establishment. Okay, once circuit is established, now both will communicate, that is called as data transfer. Once data transfer is completed, they both will, for example, we are speaking in your phone, so at that time we'll talk and we say last bye. So at that time we both, what we will do, we disconnect the circuit. So these are the three steps coming in this circuit switching, but the circuit switching must have a dedicated path from sender to receiver, then data transfer is going on. Next, after to this, circuit switching properties actually inefficiency, delay, developed for voice traffic, but also can be applied to data traffic. Okay, we'll discuss about this later. Now we move for packet switching. So what is this packet switching? What are the problems of circuit switching? The circuit switching is designed for voice. Resources dedicated to a particular call. For data transmission, much of time the connection is idle. Data rate is fixed. So these are the drawbacks present in circuit switching. So we have now designed with packet switching to overcome these problems, like resources dedicated to a particular call and data transmission may take much more time. So at that time the connection is idle, data rate is fixed. Now data are transmitted in the form of short packets. In this circuit switch, packet switching, you know very well packets. Okay, data will be transmitted in the form of packets. Longer messages are split into series of packets. Now each packet contains a portion of user data plus some control information. That means what? Each and every packet must hold with source address, destination address and data. So that is the control information means what? Routing addresses. Recall the content of an IP header. Now store and forward. So what is this? On each switching node, packets are received, stored and passed to the next node. That is the concept of this packet switching. Now this is line efficiency, advantages, data rate conversion and priorities can be used. And coming for the next one, packet switching technique. See here. A station breaks long messages into packets. Just in the packet switching, how you are sending your information in the form of packets. If packet size is large, so at that time we break the packets into smaller modules. Okay, packets are sent out to the network sequentially, one at a time. Next, two approaches here, datagram approach and virtual circuit approach under this packet switching. So what is datagram approach and what is virtual circuit approach? So datagram means nothing but each packet is treated independently with no reference to packets. Packets can take their any possible routes. They may arrive at receiver out of order. Packets may go missing and they will be reordered again. Example, internet, that is called as datagram. How you will send your data with the help of internet, that means here there is no bother about your data is moved or not, just you are injecting them. They may move in any route, there is no dedicated path, that is called as datagram. But whereas in virtual circuit, it's not like that. There will be a pre-planned route before any packets are sent, then all packets follow the same route. So each packet contains a virtual circuit identifier instead of destination address, and it is going to be forwarded the packets to the next neighboring nodes. So like this, the virtual circuit will work. See here, in the virtual circuit, there will be a dedicated path from one node to another node, and based on this the data communication is going to be taken place. All the data packets then follow the same route, but there is no dedicated resource reserved for the virtual circuit. Packets need to be stored and forwarded. See, first comes from here and this is next node. It stores the packet here and again verifies the address. It's not this address, then forward the packet to next. Again here address is verified. This is the address of this destination, so it accepts the packet. So this mechanism is called as virtual circuit mechanism. Now see the difference between virtual circuit and datagram circuit. In virtual circuit, network can provide the sequencing packets and error control is also possible. That means once a pre-planned routing is going to be considered in our virtual circuit. But in datagram, no call setup phase, nothing. Just you are injecting your packets. The best example is our internet. So these are the differences between virtual circuits and datagram circuit under packet switching. Okay, so totally we have discussed about how many types of switchings, circuit switching and packet switching. So under circuit switching, we had an example of our telephone system. See here, example of our circuit switching and packet switching. So under this simple switching network, the circuit switching is mainly dedicated communication path between two stations. That means it consists of some number of phases. Okay, those phases are what? Circuit establishment, data transfer, circuit disconnection. These are the three phases. But whereas in packet switching, we don't have any type of phasing and any type of dedicated path. Just the packets are injected, they are allowed to transmit and they are moved and reach to the destination. But we don't have a guarantee that the packets are received to the receiver in a sequence order. They may reach in out of order also. So then they have to be again kept in order. That's why we are including with a sequence number in this switching mechanism. So totally we have these three types of switchings. Sorry, two types of switchings: packet switching, circuit switching. Packet switching again when we explained in two ways, that is called as virtual and datagram. Any more doubts regarding this? If you have any more doubts, you can ask me. Any more doubts you have, you can ask me, ma. So just now I have told you that today I'll send the entire material for 5 units. Okay, but you have to take the topics which are present in your syllabus only. Okay, there are some extra topics also in the material. Okay, but just to read the topics which are related to your syllabus. Regarding this, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay, I am sending the entire 5 units material. Okay, I'll attach to the classroom. You please check that. Still any more doubts regarding this first unit? Because we have completed our first unit today. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. I think you have a schedule, right? Do you have any information about your mid examinations? Who is this person? Banu Prakash? Please unmute yourself.
Ma'am,
మీరు ఎందుకు యాడ్ అవ్వలేదు క్లాస్ రూమ్? ఫీ పే చేశారా? ఓకే, జస్ట్ వెయిట్, ఐ యాడ్ ఇట్. 546. And one more thing. So I think you have to write assignment also for every unit, right? So already today we have completed our first unit. I'll send the material also today. You please verify that, and I'll give you some assignment questions on Tuesday. Sorry, on Wednesday. We had a class from 3 to 4, right? So in that class, I'll give you some assignment questions regarding this first unit. You have to answer them. You do one thing, write it. Okay, I'll tell you whether to scan or to bring that personally. I'll inform you later, but you write and you keep that assignments with you until I say. Okay. Okay, now you can leave the class now.